Titus is finally out, along with a bunch of new content and, of course, new lore. In today's video, I will be covering the new lore involving Titus, as well as the other content which came along with his major update. And also, I'm live on Twitch, come watch me on Twitch, I'm live on Twitch, I'm back from vacation, and I'm live on Twitch. You guys have to watch me at twitch.tv/Reaconteur, because I am live at Twitch right now as of me recording and uploading this video. I am live on Twitch at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States. Let's get straight into it, and of course, subscribe. Titus Fulminus Destellus, the latest major update and new boss, along with the new Fort Merit Detainment Core, a massive prison which he is currently being held in, along with all of their highest value prisoners and most powerful enemies that they are capable of subduing. Titus Fulminus Destellus, which is first of all not his birth name, at least Fulminus Destellus isn't, and I believe Titus likely isn't either. At best, his given birth name would be Titus, with Fulminus Destellus being sort of a title given to him in reference to his major contribution to the Legion army as the 49th Legion's general. Now, his two given names mean Starlight and Lightning, which is a reference to how he obtained his fame among the Legion. This name, according to him, was earned here in the East, being the Luminance within the game, where he vanquished countless foes in the Starswept Valley using his innate abilities of lightning. So the name Starlight Lightning comes from the fact that his greatest conquests were held in the Starswept Valley, and he did it using his lightning. Now, this next bit is kinda weird. It could be a bug when combat tagged by Titus. It shows that you are combat tagged by Frankie Strabes. Now, this could be a placeholder name or a bug of sort, but it is also possible this is Titus's real name, seeing as how both his secondary names are given and Titus in Latin means title of honor. It is entirely possible that Titus isn't his real name either, with it being given to him previously in the Legion before he obtained his Fulminus Destellus name. Now, my personal theory is that maybe the Legion gives new names to people joining their ranks as sort of a rebirth ritual of sorts, so maybe upon joining the Legion they give their new troops new names. Now, this isn't confirmed as the Legion lore is still underdeveloped, but it is my personal theory for why some of them have similar names like Brutus and Titus, who are the other two important Legion NPCs in the game. So we have Brutus, Titus, and Titus. You know, I think it's very possible that they have a naming convention over there. Now, as for Titus himself, the quest involves delivering some Legion intelligence to him deep within the Fort Merit prison of the Detainment Core given to you by Titus. Upon receiving the news, he is angered deeply by the news within the intelligence, which states that their plans of breaking him out of prison must be further delayed. This initiates the fight, but it also gives us some really important insight on why Titus is in the Detainment Core. You see, Titus let himself get captured as a way to extract information from the Fort Merit and the Authority higher-ups, which is really cool. If you know anything about the Punisher, you know, the comic book character, he would often do something similar where he'd let himself get captured and tortured by enemies to get intelligence before escaping and killing them all. And it seems like Titus is doing the exact same thing, potentially gathering security information on the Detainment Core or specking out their higher-ups and their wardens while waiting until the Legion gives the command to break him out. Now, Titus is extremely angry that the plan has been delayed time and time again, which leads me to believe that the plan is conquest. I'm joking. I'm half joking. The Legion intelligence really just states that the Legion has chose to delay your freedom in favor of improving our strategic odds. So for whatever reason, having Titus out of prison is misopportune at this time, and we know it's been multiple delays because of what Titus says later after you beat Titus, which the dialogue reads, the little excerpt, "Are you telling me he kicked off over a polite message to wait?" And here I thought Titus was a great man of strategic patience. This little excerpt tells us that Titus has a good reputation as a man with patience with a strategic mind. So if he was truly angered by the news, it must have been another delay for something that he thought would be coming quite soon, and potentially multiple times. Now, along with that, of course, Titus's name further supports my theory of the Legion members getting renamed upon joining the Legion armies. Now, about Titus, he does seem to be a pretty good general. He doesn't, of course, give himself all the credit for everything. So, like, one of the dialogue options is, "You did this all on your own," when he talks about how he earned his names. And what he says in response to that is, "History only remembers the general and never the soldier. The 49th Legion followed me with unwavering loyalty into the maw of fire and slaughter. I was a warrior among their ranks until I became their commander. With their might and my strategy, we were an unstoppable force." So obviously Titus gives a lot of credit to the soldiers beneath him, so it seems like he is a pretty humble and well-grounded general, so that's good. Now, with all of this new lore, what does it mean long-term? Well, first of all, it is very much possible that my Blight Surge lore video was potentially somewhat correct. Titus and the Legion armies may be a valuable ally and asset against the Lord Regent's ministry as well as the central authority. As far as we know, Maestro Evangard's only reason to hesitate in killing the Lord Regent is the lack of manpower to fight a war against the central authority. Titus respects the player after you beat him, and the Legion holds a common enemy in both the ministry and central authority with Etris. So it is very possible that this could lead to the entire authority Etris war I mentioned being a possibility in that video, with the Legion armies coming in as allies to aid Etris. Now this is a little bit of a stretch because as it is, the Legion and Etris aren't allies, and occasionally NPCs do clash in the Starswept Valley, but that's not a big deal because those are under the orders of the Lord Regent. So if we could get like most of the Etris people to rebel against the Lord Regent, then it would probably be like, oh, you know, he was the reason why this is all happening. All right, we'll forgive your soldiers and just kill that guy, and then we'll fight the authority. So it is actually possible for the future that they could end up being allies for Etris and helping against the central authority. And along with that, I was right about Titus being a future ally, which is pretty cool. Now that Titus has been covered, let's talk about the rest of the new content, of course. Blight Surge comes from Titus, which you can get after beating him. As for the new enchants and gems, no real lore either front there. Gems and enchants rarely have lore, and generally when they're implemented, as far as the lore goes, they've always existed. So yeah, we got 3 new enchants and 2 new gems now, but those in lore have existed for as long as the release enchants and gems, so they're nothing special. As for the new fist style, Imperium Kata, it has no real direct lore other than it is, you know, the Empire of the Legion's main fist fighting style. But this is an observation of my own. I believe the animations for it may be inspired by the real-life martial art of Sabate, based on the style of punches and kicks incorporated into it. If any devs are watching this, please confirm in the comments down below. Yayafino, are you watching this? I've seen you down there before. And now for the weapons, the most interesting being the new Eden brand Hell Coil. So this weapon is made with the soul flame and breath of a true Eden kite, as it says in the description, which is a very weird phrase here, because false Eden kites aren't really a thing, are they? And also, it doesn't specify whether or not this was an Elder or a Lesser Eden kite, even though it can be assumed it was a Lesser Eden kite, because in the description of the weapon it says that the thing was killed by cannonballs by a Tehran hunting party, and then they trapped its soul flame in the weapon. It's just a little bit weird phrasing to refer to something here as a true Eden kite, which I think this is just some inconsistency from the dev team, like writing lore, because as we know, they don't communicate too much, so I think it's just possible whoever made this weapon wasn't like the best writer, and they maybe shouldn't have been writing that much, but it's fine. Anyway, the weapon, however, was lost when this hunting party's ship drifted into the Void Sea, where they presumably sank, leaving the weapon lost for a long time until it recently resurfaced and can now be used to shoot cannons at people without blowing your own shoulder off. Either way, this is the first Great Cannon category weapon added to the game, which is pretty cool. Now, the final thing I want to talk about was the new racer aspect known as Chiron, I think it's Chiron, which are a bat-resemblant aspect with the abilities of echolocation, which for some reason don't make you immune to blindfolds. Regardless, this race has minimal lore, but it is said that the race developed through a branch of people stranded in the Ceramide Hollow and potentially other underground mines who evolved into the bat race aspect over time, who lived in deep dark caves. Now this doesn't really make sense because the Ceramide Hollow is very well lit, but maybe it wasn't a few hundred years ago before, you know, the Ignition Union started digging deep into there. So maybe at some point the Ceramide Hollow was deep and dark and didn't have all those monsters in it. And then the Layer 3 influence spread to it, causing monsters and stuff. So maybe it used to be more temperate. Now, this is a bit interesting though, because assuming that it wasn't always like that, then it does mean that potentially we could get some new lore involving the Ignition Union and this race, seeing as how, you know, they were found in the caves. So maybe they were found in the caves by the Ignition Union over time, and they maybe had societies living down there, and then maybe that's what we could do, and the devs could make them either like the race that lives in Layer 3, kind of like how the Kiersguards and the Kierson people live in Layer 2, or what they could do is that maybe these guys have like mutated from like Layer 3 influence and stuff like that, but we don't really know. But there's a lot of potential lore that could come from this, but honestly I doubt they're really going to go through any of it because it's just another aspect in the game, and they usually don't go that deep for the lore involving them. But it would actually be really cool if they did implement it, and maybe we got some underground cities, and then we got like new factions and societies made of these people, kind of like how the Lullaby Isle is home to the Chris's and stuff. Now instead we have like cave towns and stuff that are like cities that are underground, except they're hosted by all these people because they don't have a really confirmed place of, you know, residence yet. So that'd actually be really cool to see. Instead of a new Luminant, we just go underground. Anyway, that is all. Hope you all enjoyed. I'm back from vacation, so I didn't upload for a week, but I'll be back on regular schedule, and I will be streaming Monday, Wednesday, Friday. From now on, I promise I will not miss any more stream dates. So check me out on twitch.tv/Reaconteur, and check out the live channel for weekly non-Deepwoken videos and my stream stuff. I hope you all enjoyed. Shoutouts to members Green, Brick, Goopka, Highcard, and Drizzy Drake fan. Of course, I hope you all have an amazing day. I love you all, and goodbye.